What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. And today we're talking the June 17th, 2024 edition of Raw Talk. And yes, they did indeed do an edition of Raw Talk after Raw last night. That is completely fucking ridiculous. I don't know what the contractual obligations are for them to do this show. I can't imagine, because it's not like they do it after every single Raw. There are some Raws rarely where they don't do it. There's a lot of SmackDowns after SmackDown the next day, the weekend of a big pay-per-view, an international show, whatever, where they don't do a SmackDown lowdown. So I don't think it's really a contractual thing. They just do it just to do it. If there was any instance to not do Raw Talk, it would be this week. I mean, so I think it was last week or the week before. I think it was last week where they opened the show, airing that Wyatt family vignette, doing the Raw Talk intro, and then it kind of scared them or whatever. They were playing out the Wyatt family stuff, the Wyatt 6 stuff on Raw Talk, and I thought that was cool. They reacted to it. Here's the funny thing. They reacted to that in the moment. They talked about it incessantly throughout the episode, to the point where it was almost annoying. And then here on this show, they welcome everyone to Raw Talk like nothing just fucking happened. And it's clearly a live show because they're reacting to it in real time. So, I mean, dude, we literally saw people get kayfabe murdered on the show last night. How do they just go ahead and do a normal show? That was so fucking comical. I saw people talking about that on Twitter, and I'm agreeing, thinking, why would WWE do that if you really want to sell this as real? Now, do I think these people are dead? No, they kind of made it seem like they were during that backstage assault. And it was an amazing angle, don't get me wrong. I'm not, shitting on WWE for the angle itself. It was great. I'm saying for the Raw Talk, for the purpose of Raw Talk, why even do a show? Or at least have them sell it we just saw people get murdered, time to move on. That's so weird to me. Typical WWE, but that was so weird to me. Anyway, so they open up the episode, not even talking about the Uncle Howdy stuff. They do mention it briefly, but they get into immediately Drew McIntyre quitting, which was a big deal, don't get me wrong, but it's that was your top takeaway from the show, not 7 or 8 people getting murdered, the fuck. But they replay the Drew McIntyre quitting thing. Sam Roberts says that he doesn't blame Drew. After Triple H was out there at the press conference, the post-show press conference, praising CM Punk and fining Drew for putting his hands on Corey Graves, a commentator, blah, blah, blah. But Punk wasn't fined. I mean, he was out there interfering in a championship main event as a fraudulent referee. How does that happen, So, Roberts, being the natural heel commentator here, says he doesn't blame Drew for what he did. They also hype CM Punk's SmackDown return for Friday in Chicago. They preview Rollins and Damian Priest and Money in the Bank. Now made official, Rollins is back and will be challenging for the championship he lost at WrestleMania at Money in the Bank. Sam Roberts says that Priest wants to prove himself as champion, which is why he accepted that challenge so quickly. He wants to prove he can retain his championship all on his own. He beat Jey Uso back at Backlash with Judgment Day interference. He beat Damian Priest beat Drew McIntyre at Clash of the Castle with CM Punk interference. Can he beat Rollins all on his own? And the last time they went one-on-one, and they probably had a match after that, but they had a match on Raw at the Raw that I was at, actually, early June 2023, and Rollins beat Priest. There might have been Judgment Day interference in that as well, but if it was a clean finish, and it might have been, I don't remember, Rollins won there. So when it comes down to just the two of them, Rollins has proven he can beat Priest all on his own. They replay Io Sky beating Kiana James, and Zelina Vega in a Money in the Bank qualifier to qualify for the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. They hype up Lyra Valkyria versus Shayna Baszler versus Kairi Sane for next week's Raw, also a Women's Money in the Bank qualifier. We hear from Lyra Valkyria backstage. She says that she had to be there for her friends, coming to the aid of Katana Chance and Kaden Carter on Raw, helping them beat Damage Control in tag team action. She was merely there to even the numbers game. She mentions that she started training to become a wrestler on the day of Money in the Bank 2014, which is pretty fucking crazy if true. I think that would have been, don't ask me how I remember the dates, but June 30th, 2014, or June 29th rather. I went to Raw on June 30th, 2014. So 10 years almost to the day. She wants to be in Money in the Bank, and I think she will be. She mentions no one will stop her from getting that opportunity. Sam Roberts says that Lyra's out of her honeymoon phase now and she really needs to start proving herself. And she has so far, taking it to the likes of Io Sky and Nia Jax, women like that. Beating some of these people as well. Also beating Io Sky in the Queen of the Ring tournament, getting to the finals before losing there. But, she's on the trajectory. She's on the ascent right now, which is great to see. They replay Carlito beating Dragon Lee with interference from Judgment Day, the LWO, the Zelina Vega, Liv Morgan Dom stuff. They discussed the whole Liv Morgan Dom storyline. And that was kind of third or fourth down the list as far as what the big story was on Raw this week. That was kind of like the central story of the show last week, and it was entertaining. It was entertaining again this week. But like between Drew quitting, Seth being back, the whole Wyatt 6 thing at the end of the show, that really wasn't the central focus this week, which was a nice, refreshing change of pace. Although it was furthered nicely, I would say. They replay Sheamus versus Braun Breaker, at least the finish of it, with Breaker and Sheamus ending in disqualification and no contest after Ludwig Kaiser attacked Sheamus. And then Breaker attacked Kaiser and everyone else. So Breaker standing tall. We hear from Braun Breaker backstage afterward. He says that Sheamus earned his respect. He calls Sheamus a legend, but he says that Sheamus kind of had to earn his respect, and he did. He said regardless of whether Kaiser interfered or not, the result would have been the same with Breaker winning decisively. He praises Sami Zayn, all of his accomplishments, including as the Intercontinental Champion, but says that he himself is the future of WWE, and says that taking that Intercontinental Championship is a part of him continuing his legacy. Another great promo here from Braun Breaker. He really wasn't much of a talker in NXT, but the promo that he cut here, which they thankfully did replay on Raw last week, or at least bits and pieces of it spliced into a video package, in the promo that he cut on Raw Talk 2 weeks ago, were just fantastic. Like, again, they need to continue doing that where they can do it here on Raw Talk to give him the time and whatnot, but also either replay it or have him cut a similar promo on Raw or replay it on Raw, whatever it is, because this was another really, really good promo from Braun Breaker. Sam Roberts says you can't tell Braun Breaker that he's wrong. No one's in a position to tell him that because the man is on a fucking path of destruction right now. We hear from Ludwig Kaiser quickly afterward. He's all pissed. He calls Braun Breaker a coward. He scolds Sheamus, saying, I don't really know what he was saying to Sheamus because he was the one who attacked Sheamus. So he laid out Sheamus kind of calling him like, oh, you should fight man to man, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I mean, I guess it's the heel logic of like, he was the one to do what he's accusing Sheamus of. But Sheamus didn't do shit, though. He just attacked Sheamus and was about to, put him out before Kaiser speared him. Or before Kaiser got speared by Breaker. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, they replay the main event with Jey Uso qualifying for Money in the Bank and the show closing angle. I kind of skipped through it here on Raw Talk, so I don't know if they replay the entire thing because it was like a 5 or 6 minute shot. But they replay most of it, and obviously it was awesome, really well executed. I have no idea where they go from here. Like, I have no idea how this could be successful as a wrestling angle. Because, like, what are they going to win? Championships? Or, like, I don't know how that's going to work exactly, but I almost don't even care. Because it's just to honor Bray. And I think so far, so good. The QR code stuff was cool. It went on for a little long, but it was cool. And the debut was outstanding. One of the coolest debuts I've ever seen for any one particular person or a group in WWE history. That was fucking awesome. And the camera angle, the camera shots were sick. No pun intended. So they discussed the Wyatt 6 here on the show briefly. Like, again, they kind of just go through it as if it's another development. Like, we just saw people get murdered. Like, the fuck you just talking about it like, oh, this guy just won a match. Like, I thought that was weird. But they also hype up Braun Strowman, Chad Gable, and Bronson Reed in a triple threat for next week's Raw in a men's Money in the Bank qualifier. Now, I don't even know if Chad Gable would be in the match, realistically. Like, again, it looked like we just saw him get murdered. Like, we didn't see the act of murder on the show, but the carnage of Gable, like, you would almost think, what's really funny? They really should have waited a week to write off Ricochet. What they did with Ricochet and Breaker last week was great, but they really should have just showed Ricochet getting fucking literally murdered, Lucha Underground style, which he might have gotten murdered in Lucha Underground as well when he left there as Prince Puma many years ago. But, like, they should have just done that. Like, the way that he got attacked by Breaker was great and whatever. But, like, if you really want to write someone off, you could just say that he died. And I guess TNA has done that with, like, Eric Young, and he came back anyway, so I guess never say that because Ricochet probably will be back in WWE down the road. But, like, with Gable, it's funny. Like, he said over the weekend that he just resigned. All right, thanks for resigning. We're going to have you lose on Clash of the Castle. We're going to have you lose on Raw. And also, we're going to have you get murdered at the end of the show. So, thanks for resigning, Chad. Now, in all seriousness, it was great. And we'll see if Chad will even be in that Money in the Bank qualifier next week. Thank you guys for checking out my review of Raw Talk. I appreciate it. Decent show here. I just wish they didn't even do a show. If they really wanted to sell the whole destruction of the Wyatt 6 stable and whatever. But, the show itself, that notwithstanding, was fine. So I appreciate you checking out my review. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Have an awesome one, guys. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.